Malaysia is a country quite literally split in half. Geographically speaking, 80% of the population lives on Peninsula Malaysia, and the remainder across the South China Sea on Borneo Island, spread out over two states of Sarawak and Sabah. Today, we're flying to the furthest state, into its capital called Kota Kinabalu, therefore experiencing some of Malaysia's longest domestic flights. Since I've got nothing else better to do, I also jump on the return flight back to Kuala Lumpur.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be
Good morning guys, and welcome back to my video, and I'm coming to you from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. So I've spent the night at the Sama Express hotel right here at the satellite terminal because I arrived from Perth yesterday. The flight was delayed, so I didn't make it to the hotel until almost about 2. By the time I settled down into bed, it was 3 a.m. and now it's about 5:30, so I really only had about 2 hours of sleep. So today what I'm doing is I'm getting on board Malaysia Airlines to fly across the country on one of Malaysia's longest domestic network. So let's get this video started so I can let voiceover Ryan tell you what I'm doing today. So let's do this.
Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
The Sama Express Hotel at KLIA's satellite terminal was a godsend on this trip. It was meant to be a comfortable 11 p.m. arrival and checking out at 5 a.m. to catch this flight this morning. With breakfast included, this 6-hour stay was slightly pricey at 162 Australian dollars. Thanks to my delayed arrival, with only about 2 hours worth of slumber time, and after a refreshing shower to wake myself up, I'm now on my way to the main terminal building as I move on to the next flight. If you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. Born and bred in Singapore, I now call Australia home, and I create heaps of flight reviews, the occasional train journey, and destination vlogs. This travel series will see me touch down in Perth, and from there I fly to Malaysia, where I get on a couple of domestic flights. I then fly to Singapore, but not in the way we normally do. I fly back to Australia the long way, via an overnight stop in the Philippines, where I then get on the final long-haul red-eye to the land down under. These videos will be linked in the description in chronological order as and when they're published. Make sure you hit subscribe and the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever an episode goes to air. Even better, become a member of my channel for early access to these videos. So without further ado, let's get this video started. This temporary signage at KLIA main terminal building is to direct transfer passengers connecting from international to domestic flights. The intention is very clever, because this access allows passengers to directly clear immigration to enter domestic airside without ever heading into public landside. But this temporary signage is an indication the normal signage is one confusing array of arrows linking together, leading you in a circle. It's been almost 3 decades, and these kind of teething issues continue to channel passengers into an escape room adventure they did not sign up for. I am familiar with this airport, and even I get confused, let alone someone who's traveling here for the first time. This is the home base of Malaysia Airlines, and one of the things I look forward to are their remarkable lounges. Here on the domestic side, no expense has been spared, and the environment is extremely tranquil, bathed in an abundance of earthy tones. This early in the morning, the first bank of domestic flights are preparing to depart, so passengers have mostly vacated, just leaving a handful of us who are on the next bank of flights. My love for all things spice and nice is no secret. Malaysia is a country who celebrates their amazing food culture every single second. Therefore, the national airline, by extension, also uses this opportunity to showcase this. The domestic lounge catering is understandably smaller in scale compared to the international one at the satellite terminal. But the quality of the food is still amazing. Malaysia's national dish is nasi lemak, which is rice cooked in coconut milk, accompanied by an array of spicy side dishes. This early in the morning, the nasi lemak is accompanied by boiled eggs, Malaysian spicy fried chicken called ayam goreng berempah, a potato patty, deep fried anchovies, and this absolutely evil and angry looking fiery generous dollop of chili sambal. And the last ingredient is essentially what ties nasi lemak into one cohesive dish. Screw up your sambal, you might as well throw everything into the bin. I had 2 serves of that delicious fiery nasi lemak before I decided to take a walk to burn off those gazillion calories. Domestic gates at KLIA, unlike the international ones, are an open affair. So you can walk in and out as you wish. I was pretty eager to board because the flight today would be carried out by one of the airline's newly delivered 737 MAX 8s. Operating flight MH2612 to Kota Kinabalu this morning was Mike Victor Hotel. And this aircraft was delivered in February 2025, making her less than half a year old at the time of writing. And this is one of the newest aircraft I've ever flown on all my travels. Malaysia Airlines, like most One World carriers, does boarding by group numbers. Status flyers and business class are in group number 1, so we get to board the aircraft first. Gate agents were proactively going down the line to turn people away if they were from other group numbers. The signature cheerful MH welcome was on full display as the crew in charge ushered us into this cabin, which, to be honest, smelled like a new car. The airline has spent the last couple of years replacing their older 737 cabins with this one. The latest generation business class product has 1 less row, although still configured in a 2x2, which has a total capacity for 12 passengers. Despite this being a domestic flight, a freshly laundered blanket and a large fluffy pillow has been placed on the seat for our perusal. There was the normal welcome routine of a hot towel, and we had an array of apple, orange, and pink guava juices to choose from as a welcome drink. But I very unusually just went for a glass of sky juice. In the last couple of decades, the domestic market share for Malaysia Airlines has continued to decline. Bearing in mind, they once held a monopoly for all flights within the country. In present day, their market share, which includes the subsidiary Firefly and MAS Wings, sits at 39%, with Air Asia holding 55.5%, and the remainder taken up by Batik Air Malaysia. The Malaysia Airlines Group continue to adjust their capacity because their financial struggles have been part of their existence for a very long time. Whether will this downward trend for the flag carrier continue remains to be seen, as they've just emerged from another financial rehabilitation, one of the numerous turnaround efforts which has peppered the airline in recent times. On takeoff from runway 14 right, our southerly flight path would turn left, taking us across the breadth of Peninsula Malaysia, coasting out over the South China Sea. This easterly journey would be entirely over water until arrival, when we'd approach the state of Sabah in the opposite direction, flying past the city of Kota Kinabalu before landing. Clocking a distance of just under 1,630 kilometers and a flight time of 2 hours 35 minutes. While non-stop flights between Kuala Lumpur and Kota Kinabalu are considered long relative to domestic flights in Malaysia, non-stop flights towards destinations like Tawau and Sandakan are slightly longer by 10 minutes. That's enough of trivia, because my tummy is now rumbling and eager for the in-flight breakfast to begin. The business class service on Malaysia Airlines can roughly be classified into 3 categories. We have long haul, different courses served separately on plates coming directly from the galley, with the famous satay service as a precursor. Then there is the mid-haul, satay service with the single meal tray which comes after. Finally, the short haul, just a single meal tray without the satay service. On long domestic flights between KLIA and destinations in Sabah, we get the third type of service. A single meal tray crammed with everything possible, so the meal service can be carried out in an expeditious time. And this morning, for breakfast, we had a choice of mee goreng, which is spicy fried noodles, mushroom frittata, or the quintessential Malaysian breakfast item of nasi lemak. I'm sorry if any viewers have a peanut allergy, but peanuts must accompany nasi lemak, together with crispy fried anchovies. This angry-looking chili sambal is accompanied by juicy prawns. And there is also an omelette on top of that fluffy coconut rice. I cannot believe I'm tucking into the third serve of nasi lemak with spicy chili sambal, all before 9 a.m. And this is why I absolutely love traveling in this part of the world. There is no better way to complete a Malaysian breakfast than with a steaming mug of teh tarik, a rich and creamy Malaysian milk tea. Even though I'm Singaporean born and bred, I truly eat like a Malaysian and much prefer the culinary scene here compared to my motherland. Before I get cyber-flamed for my comments, it's time for us to prepare for our approach into the land below the wind. And that is the nickname for the Malaysian state of Sabah because of its location south of the typhoon belt. So the weather here is mild and protected from the destructive winds which affects countries across the South China Sea. Its capital of Kota Kinabalu, also known as KK, is home to just over 500,000 people. It's served by Kota Kinabalu International Airport, Malaysia's second busiest airport, serving some 7.9 million travelers in 2024. As I bid goodbye to the amazing flight attendants on MH2612, I was on a mission to get myself a passport stamp from Sabah. But wait, isn't this a domestic flight? This is interesting. Even though this is a domestic flight, there is immigration to go through when you enter Sabah from Peninsula Malaysia. So I got a stamp on my passport from the state of Sabah, even though I departed Malaysia and I'm still really within Malaysia. But entering the state of Sabah, there's some form of autonomy for the state, which is why there is a stamp, I think. Yeah, interesting nonetheless. So now I'm stamped into Sabah. I'm gonna go on and re-enter airside again to look for the lounge. I cannot find the lounge. And there are no signs as to where the lounge is. So yeah, I cannot find the lounge. I've walked the length of this transit area. Anyway, Where is the lounge? Malaysia Airlines no longer operate their own lounge here in Kota Kinabalu Airport. So it is now known as the Travel Club Lounge. There, that one. During its countless number of rationalization exercises, Malaysia Airlines began shutting their lounges across their network. Sydney, Melbourne, Singapore, and domestically, the Golden Lounge at Kota Kinabalu Airport was shut during its last major financial rehabilitation before COVID struck. So the signage around this airport still has arrows which point towards the MAS Golden Lounge, which no longer exists. The Travel Club is a contract lounge used by numerous airlines, and it's a nice enough area to hang out, and the food selection is decidedly very local. Of course, I have nasi lemak serving number 4 right here. Oh man, I was suffering down south later that evening. This pair of flights were booked separately, so I padded a very comfortable 2.5 hours between them in case of any delays. And I'm now boarding the return flight on MH2611 back to KLIA, which is operated by a Boeing 737-800 with the Rego Mike X-ray Mike. It was delivered factory fresh directly to Malaysia Airlines in December 2012, making her just over 12.5 years old at the time of this flight. And this aircraft is presently flying around with the Malaysia Truly Asia decal. Despite winning the Best Cabin Crew title 6 times in the space of 10 years between 2000 and 2010, the airline has since struggled to climb up the rankings. But today's welcome is still absolutely heartwarming, in true MH fashion. Most of the older 737s like this one I'm on has been refurbished to feature this controversial new cabin, which has attracted mostly negative comments. Personally, I'm indifferent to it. I don't like it as much as the older seats, but it could be worse. Although I think the seats with their competitor Batik Air is a lot more comfortable. A bulkhead seat is never my first choice. Because this was a redemption ticket booked via Qantas, I could not select my seat. I could only do so after the booking was done on the app, and I had to ring up the call center in Malaysia to get this sorted. Nonetheless, a seat at the pointy end is still a seat at the pointy end. A quick welcome drink and a hot towel later, we were soon pushing back for an on-time departure across the country for our return journey back to Kuala Lumpur. On takeoff from runway 02, MH2611 would hug the coast of Sabah for a wee bit before coasting out over the South China Sea towards Riau Islands. Coasting back into Peninsula Malaysia, our journey continued towards Nilai, where we would turn north and loop around the administrative capital city of Putrajaya, before landing at KLIA in the opposite direction. Completing this flight in 2 hours 30 minutes, clocking a distance of just under 1,630 kilometers. By the way, if you ever get a chance to visit Sabah, you should definitely do so. The last time I did it was in December 2008. I remember the amazing natural beauty and just simple, delicious food available everywhere. What more could you ask for? And there isn't the crazy chaos of Kuala Lumpur, because right here, it's just tranquil. Speaking of food, our 3 options for lunch on this return flight was chicken curry with yellow rice, ginger beef with white rice, And this one I have here, which is sea perch marinara with healthy looking steamed vegetables and barley. Yes, barley. I've honestly never had savory barley before until today. It has soaked up the beautiful seafoody juices of the perch, and I enjoyed it. Perch is an extremely fishy fish, and if you're not used to it, it can come across as a little smelly. But I love it. The fishier the better. Overall, it gets a thumbs up from me. Great job, Malaysia Airlines. Teh tarik. Of course, there has to be teh tarik to complete every meal in Malaysia. You do not travel in this part of the world to be on a diet. As I ponder about the amount of hearty meals I've indulged in since I got up this morning at 5 a.m, we've also begun coasting into Peninsula Malaysia, and the arrival preparations soon began in earnest. So let's use this time to draw a summary for today's journey. My alarm went off at the Sama-Sama Express Hotel at the KLIA's satellite terminal at 5 a.m. You don't really have a choice of airside hotels, because they are the only one. It's functional but very old. So you decide if it's worth paying roughly 160 Australian dollars for 6 hours. That stay includes the use of the lobby lounge, which has a buffet of delicious food though. Flying domestically within Malaysia, you really only have one full service option, which is Malaysia Airlines. Batik Air is strangely still known as a full service carrier within the Lion Group, but in reality, they are a hybrid airline. And their business product, as you've seen in my last video, is a very diluted interpretation of premium service. Of course, one can argue, domestic flights are so short, why even bother with business class? Well, my reply to that is why not? I'm someone who appreciates the whole experience of lounge visits, priority boarding, and a full-on in-flight meal. So for this, Malaysia Airlines fits the bill. And the signature Malaysian hospitality is on full display. On both flights, I had cabin crew who were only too happy to engage. Especially this return flight, special mention goes out to the crew in charge, who is so senior he is close to retirement. And his amazing customer service skill has been honed over decades in this industry, and it showed. This journey today had cost me 29,000 Qantas points and 35 Malaysian ringgit in taxes per sector. Yep, I too had to look again. 35 ringgit in taxes per flight. Far out. A meal at McDonald's in Melbourne cost more than that. For the second time today, I was setting foot into Lapangan Terbang Antarabangsa Kuala Lumpur, KLIA. So what's your take on flying Malaysia Airlines? Have your say in the comments because I would love to hear from you. For now, let's join Live Ryan at his favorite hotel in KL Central to wrap this video up. Well guys, welcome to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And that was all my flights done today with Malaysia Airlines on some of their longest domestic routes they have in the network. So I'm gonna be here overnight before I continue my journey tomorrow. I hope you stay tuned for that one because that is going to be a very special flight as far as I'm concerned. So I've chucked details of my Instagram on your screen right now, so hit me up there, chuck me a follow, so you can come along with me on my travels in real time. Of course, do not forget to hit subscribe and the bell notification icon, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye!